Arcane is back, and the opening is telling us everything we need to know about where this story is going. From breakups to Macbeth, Arcane's openings have always had a lot of symbolism in them. They hint about what's to come, but they really decide to make things juicy this time around. So, let's have a little fun and speculate on what it all means, and the subtle differences between all these openings. As while it's been easy to miss, Season 2's opening has been different every single episode, as it is always hinting about what's to come. I mean, besides Imagine Dragons' fat paycheck for this. Before we start, I want to be on the record that the opening version of Enemy is so much better than the full version they released online. Personal preference, but this is the hill I'm willing to die on. But getting to the vid, the first thing I want to draw attention to is just how visually different this is versus the original. While Season 1 had all of its characters depicted as statues, slowly changing and breaking into their fully traumatized selves, this opening does away with the stone motif to depict the characters in the flesh, which I think says a lot about the expectations and narrative identity of Season 1 versus Season 2. Before, we all thought we knew the story of Jinx and Vi. They were League of Legends characters with a vague backstory, but the inevitable outcome they were doomed to reach loomed over us the entire time. Season 1 was a tragedy, as most people watching knew this. So it was the journey, not the destination, that really hooked us for this story. Hence the statues, as their past was literally set in stone, with them being carved and shaped into the people that we already knew. In ditching the statues, the story is making a statement about how these are no longer the characters we thought we knew. That they have become fully realized, yes, but given how Arcane was so well received that it became the official canon for the game, the story is no longer bound by the same constraints. It can carve its own path, with the game choosing to follow suit. While they probably won't reach an ending radically different from the one we're expecting, the story and the writers now have the freedom to truly make it their own. So the characters get to appear in the flesh, as now this is truly their story, no longer a tragedy where we know what's gonna happen. Identity and loss of purpose feel like the major themes of this intro and the season, and it is just so cool to see, as right now, they're all going through it. Vi wipes away her tattoo in a gesture to show how lost she's become this season. Where previously she knew exactly what she wanted, Vi is now lost, can't get her bearings, and lacks a real goal to pursue. The temporary sad motivation of putting down Jinx was shattered by the reality that her sister isn't just the monster she tried to build up in her head. Her situationship ended in a gut check and dictatorship, leaving Vi without any real purpose going into Act 2. But even though she tried to get rid of it, that smudge won't go away, hinting at how she can't bury her feelings forever, though I would also like to think that hints at her future black makeup ensemble. Vi, despite appearing alone, is also still sitting back to back with her sister, a reference to the first opening which showed the two as kids. They may appear separate and Vi feels isolated, but they remain in each other's thoughts, as the love they feel for each other won't go away no matter how much they hate it. The two also aren't sporting their usual attire, being stripped down to their what just looks like white undershirts, with this idea conveying just how they've been reduced to their most vulnerable selves, that they have been stripped down physically, and this is only compounded by how the two are missing some pretty important things. Vi's lip scar is completely gone, and more notably, so are Jinx's tattoos, both important parts of their appearance that calls back to pivotal moments in their lives. Vi's scar sheer fighting Silco's goons, but also back to her talk with Vander about being a leader and about looking after the others, a responsibility Vi seems to be abandoning along with her name. Meanwhile, Jinx's cloud tattoos call back to her relationship with Silco and her attempts to cast aside Powder to become Jinx, with her never being able to fully commit to the act no matter how much she leaned into it. Jinx starts the season at her lowest, but seemingly is free from her previous psychosis and the emotional turmoil that plagued her all of last season, as she just seems resigned to being a Jinx that ruins everyone around her. The sisters will in all likelihood spend most of the season trying to overcome these negative self-perceptions, as yeah, they have really been brought to their lowest after Act 1, and it has to go up from here, right? The plain simple clothes is also a thing that's shared by nearly everyone in this opening, as yeah, we are seeing everyone here at their most vulnerable, with the only exceptions to the white apparel being Ambessa, who wears the red of Noxus, Caitlyn is in all black, and Victor, who is dressed in what I think is gray? With this lighting, it's really hard to tell. The red in Ambessa's case symbolizes the violence she was raised in and will enact to accomplish her goals. The rest of the cast are clad in all white with the potential to be colored anew. Ambessa seems absolutely certain in her identity and unwilling to change in the face of opposition. While others may question who they are and what they need to do, Ambessa has only one objective: to crush the Black Rose, and in doing so protecting Mel, though based on the match cut that might only make things worse. Her intentions may be understandable, but she's willing to do horrific things to accomplish her goals, with the light giving her almost demonic eyes hinting at the extremes we're about to see, though her ultimate fate is sadly hinted at in this opening, as a regal couch she leans on, the same one from Ambessa and Mel's convo in Season 1, where Ambessa offered her daughter the chance to work together and return home to Noxus, only for Ambessa to later find out that Mel rejected it. But in this opening, we see the general leaning and making herself comfortable in something that isn't hers, a nod to her marching into Mel's life and hijacking the city, to Ambessa being gone, with Mel sitting alone, the black rose her mother tried to crush still remaining, with the petals on the ground only slightly stirring. If I were to put money on any character dying this season, Ambessa would be my bet. Her attempts to avenge her son failing, leaving her daughter alone but still curious at the memento. Mel might be left to clean up her mother's mess, as yeah, this is going to get messy. Though to double back to Kate wearing black, this is such a fitting choice for someone mourning the death of their mother, as this affects pretty much every choice she's made this season. While all the other characters are wearing basically their underclothes, Kate has decided to cover up, wearing a black long sleeve and what I think is a turtleneck, probably hints at how she is trying to close herself off. She is trying to get down to business to hide from her pain, with her struggling to seem in control as the guilt from not killing Jinx is eating her alive, an idea made all the more obvious by the flashes of Jinx graffiti. This mental anguish is visualized as she is clearly in pain, with her fingers causing a crown to appear on her shadow, showing that the weight of power will be something that she will struggle with, especially now that she is the Roman-style dictator of Piltover, having declared martial law in a time of crisis. Someone on Tumblr pointed out how the shadow crown is a direct reference to Macbeth, another story about someone coming to power with a powerful woman whispering in their ear, egging them on. Macbeth's story was plagued by the guilt of his actions, only to double down, leading to his death. So whether Kate will be able to avoid Macbeth's fate is yet to be seen. The lighting makes her fingers look like they're stained in blood, which could be more guilt imagery for how she blames herself for her mother's death, or foreshadowing for what she'll do next to avenge her. I especially love the shot of Caitlyn walking into the light of leadership, the same one that Jayce shunned, though this Macbeth thing also means that Ambessa is cooked, as she is playing Lady Macbeth. And the opening links them even further by having a falling petal from Ambessa's rose mimics the petals Kate keeps seeing throughout Act 1. But now to move the focus to Kate and Vi, these two had a face-off, with the visual of them standing next to each other, the shot static so we're unsure if they're in a moment of comfort or confrontation. Their hands hang close to one another, just like the neon lights illuminating them, coming close but never fully linking together, with a stare down being broken by the two leaning in, then pushing each other away, accompanied by a very telling line. So yeah, no shit the two broke up in Act 1, the opening basically screamed it at us. But to talk about some other imagery, Ekko's appearance in the opening is just all about time. His shadow forms clock hands that are ticking backwards, with his next shot calling back to his fight with Jinx, dodging her bullets only for everything to rewind, hinting at his in-game ability to reverse time, which may make an appearance this season given that he is now dabbling in magic. Though one of my favorite transitions is how Jinx's explosion now leads to Ekko's clock, with us for a brief moment seeing the two standing on the same path, possibly hinting how the two may meet again and work together for the good of the underground. Victor, meanwhile, is just oozing religious imagery, wearing a shroud, contemplating a mask before attempting to don it. I'm not fully sure who this mask is meant to represent, as it's not Victor nor is it Sky. The small upturned nose is kind of a dead giveaway, and it doesn't match anyone we've seen in the show so far. So this could just be a neat visual to show Victor being consumed by religious dogma, the humanity that defined him now being consumed by a false faith. Though just get a pet theory out of the way, it would be diabolical if Victor's hallucinations of Sky subtly change over the course of the series, becoming less and less like the person she actually was, with her image being co-opted and distorted by the hex core and Victor's own grief. I have nothing to back this up, besides the fact that one time Sky loses her glasses. I just think it'd be a neat idea. Though I also really like the shot of Victor about to wear the mask as copies stand behind him, perhaps speaking to the flock he'll gather, while also hinting that it'll take him a moment to fully accept this fate for himself, showing that Victor's transition into full-fledged prophet may not be a smooth one, with the light from his mask matching the one that Jayce is now being confronted by. Though yeah, talk about the love of his life, Jayce starts the intro blinded by this light, averting his eyes, struggling to see. This to me is the perfect shorthand for how the man of the future can barely plan for tomorrow. Having spent all of Act 2 and 3 floundering from one person to the next, trapped between politics, ethics, and Victor flatlining every 10 seconds, he was blinded by the power that he held, his dreams of changing the world, and the wants and desires of those around him. This season has seemingly put him on a trajectory to face his original sin, the the creation of Hextech, which is starting to corrupt the environment. The ending of the intro shows Jayce reach out to a light before it's replaced by the Arcane title, and I think this could be a reference to how he is the one who actually kicked off the events of the story. Jayce is the one who brought the Arcane crystals to Piltover. Vi and Jinx's theft may have set off the sequence of events that changed the fate of this city, but it was Jayce who set that first domino in place, and that is something he's probably going to have to reckon with. Also, to bring it back to Mel, her imagery, the grasping hands consuming her, seems like an obvious reference to the Black Rose kidnapping her in episode 3, but I like to think it also carries a double meaning of how she feels torn between everyone in the city, the needs of her family, her people, Jayce. All these things are reaching out and consuming her, with Mel seemingly accepting this fate, only to scream back to life and fight the dark, pushing it all away, leaving her alone where her mother used to be. Ambessa's goal of crushing the Black Rose now falling to her. Finally, we have Jinx waving the flag of Zon, or revolution, signifying the symbol Jinx will become after her attacks on Piltover, inspiring others to fight back and to possibly look past their leader's infighting. But given its enormous size, this might also indicate that while this may be the new purpose Jinx was looking for, the flag may prove to be all-consuming, with the weight being too much for her to bear. Now that's just the consistent imagery. We also have peppered into all the openings are call forwards to the events of each episode. Episode 1 contains visuals of Medarda with her battle mask on, ready to stop the attack that she helped set up. We also get a flash of the Enforcer's badge that Vi inevitably had to pick back up, with probably my favorite of these Easter eggs being Victor's face, as when he's donning the mask, we get intercut with a shot of him in his hex core cocoon. Episode 2's foreshadowing includes Jinx's wanted poster, and that one shot of the Enforcers coming out of the smoke. We also get a flash of Jinx's new child sidekick, Ikra, who seems to be the key to pulling Jinx out of her burn it all down mindset. Episode 3 gives us a shot of the sisters fighting in the climax. The spotlight on Jayce's face gives us a flash of the wild magic core he tried and probably failed to destroy during the drug trip, only for it to become a moth instead in an impact frame. And if you tell me that's a butterfly, I want you to know I don't care how much of the butterfly motif is used for Jayce. I think this is supposed to be a death's head moth. We also get a flash of Cade becoming Piltover's leader. Overall, this opening is fantastic, and it gets me hyped and terrified for the rest of the season. I'm curious to see what new things will be added, how much its imagery will come to fruition, but given the quality we've seen in the past, I am ready to be emotionally destroyed. But let me know what you all thought down below. Somebody with a better grasp of color theory tell me what all this symbolism is supposed to be, as I'm kind of drawing a blank outside like, oh yeah, that's their color, and it looks dope. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I have a blast talking about Arcane, so if you want to be kept up to date, hit that notification bell. Does it do anything? No idea. But YouTube has been bullying me into telling people that it's important. So that's a me problem. Peace out. Love you all.